Welcome back again to Bankruptcy with Ben. We're continuing in the 23andMe saga. And what we discussed last time is despite the CEO or the former CEO, Anne Wojcicki's assurances that she was interested in consumer choice and making and consumers being able to make choices in their own data and taking this position of being a consumer advocate and that we, the people, should have the ability to have transparency and make our own decisions regarding our own data. The bankruptcy filing by 23andMe raises major concerns about that very aspect. What you can do and who will have control over your own data. And that again illustrates our overall theme of how a third party's bankruptcy filing can impact you, and you need the tools to be able to navigate it. So this time, Congress is stepping in, and Congress is stepping in to try to get a better understanding and possibly have some oversight and ensure that as the people's representatives, 23andMe does not do things that will cause sensitive data to fall into the wrong hands. So let's have a look here. And this article comes from Yahoo. And it says, from Yahoo Finance, U.S. House Committee seeks testimony from 23andMe co-founder after bankruptcy. Why? Well, we see here James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky and the chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, sent a letter to 23andMe Anne Wojcicki seeking her testimony on May 6th, as well as documents and information from the firm. So, just as an aside, it's May 12th right now, we're recording the video. She has yet to testify. When she's going to actually testify, will she testify? Unknown. Right now, it's just a letter. They've not sent a formal subpoena. So there's a difference between a letter is saying, hey, come consensually before we take to stricter measures. A subpoena is an actual document from Congress with legal binding authority, legally commanding you to appear by law. And if you do not appear, you can potentially face prosecution for contempt of Congress. So you do not want to ignore a congressional subpoena. So that's just the background. Now the article goes on. The genomics firm filed for bankruptcy protection last month after struggling with weak demand for its ancestry testing kits. Now Wojcicki herself made multiple failed takeover bids for the company and resigned as its CEO in March. She's still a board member of the company. Okay. So she wanted to come and buy out the company, which is kind of what she was signaling, I think, in her letter, that she wanted to do things her way, and the company decided to take a different path. But here's the key point. The bankruptcy filing has raised concerns about where the genetic data it collected will go. The company has said the bankruptcy process will not affect how it stores, manages, or protects customer data. 23andMe collects saliva samples, so very sensitive information, to provide insights into ancestry and health risks. So as an aside, they're saying it's not going to impact how we store data, but the flip side is bankruptcy is a very open process, and all the books and records of a company are very carefully examined. So if you're 23andMe and you're essentially opening your books up to the public, you have to be very careful that when opening those books, you do not accidentally disclose private, sensitive information. I can say in my practice, I've often dealt with healthcare companies, and that's obviously very sensitive. If you're a healthcare company, you have potentially very sensitive patient data. And whenever I'm working with my counterparts, whether it's creditors, trustees, the court, there's steps that we have to go through to make sure that no private patient data is released. And even as the company's attorney, there are still systems in place where I, even as their attorney, do not have access to all the private patient information because there's HIPAA laws that are in place. And I cannot violate the HIPAA laws. The healthcare company cannot violate HIPAA. So the point is they're taking the company into very, very potentially dangerous waters. And they're saying, yeah, no problem, nothing's going to change. Well, we hope nothing changes, but one slight misstep and things could go awry. And now another point, and this is what Representative Comer wants to address. There were concerns that data on 23andMe's more than 15 million customers, if not protected sufficiently, could be accessed by countries such as China. Again, you don't want foreign countries accessing your personal data, or used for assessing higher insurance premiums, among other purposes. Comer said, we need to ensure the safety of Americans' data. And now furthermore, the company was also the target of a hack in 2023 when personal data of nearly 7 million customers was exposed over 5 months. So, you can see why Congress is stepping in. You can see the concern. You can see why it's such an important issue. They really, really need to tread carefully. It's not a small thing to take a genetics testing company, which has very, very sensitive data of people, of millions of Americans, and now putting it into bankruptcy and then potentially putting it up for sale where a third party can buy it. So my message to 23andMe, my message to everybody, you have to be exceedingly careful. If you're worried about your personal data, be very vigilant. Make sure that you're taking necessary precautions to protect your data. If you need help from the bankruptcy perspective, to make sure your information is being protected, you can certainly reach out to us or reach out to any competent bankruptcy attorney, and we'll be glad to assist. That's the update for now. Stay tuned. More to come. See everybody on our next one.